So what is it about yesterday we said that's really, really important? The most important aspect of the thyroid gland would be what? I think somebody said it. What comes from the thyroid gland? Thyroxine, that's right. So with that, okay, why is that thyroxine so important? Okay, and it does, but can we be perhaps a little more specific with that? What type of metabolism? Okay, so it's going to be a major influencer on how well materials can get broke down and absorbed into your system to be utilized. Okay. Just think, holy cow, another month, you're starting your last semester of high school. Yay, right? So we got one person who's excited. 2 and 3? 3 and 4? 5 and 6? All right, very good. Okay, so why is it, now this is more so of an anatomy question as opposed to a physiological question. Why are we talking about the parathyroid glands when it says thyroid up here? Because they're actually located on the thyroid gland. There's 4 little tiny structures on there called the parathyroids. So, what is it? What does PTH do? It's going to stimulate the parathyroids, but it does something very specific to the parathyroid glands. Okay? So if we're deficient in calcium, we can actually pull that out of the bank, kind of like withdrawing or whatnot, or would be an example of that. How many of you think that you are, well, we're smart enough, yes, I think we would know that. Disciplined, I think would be a better term. How many of you would be disciplined enough to handle your own credit card? And maybe you have a credit card right now. So I see yes. Do I see 2? Okay. Now keep in mind that's totally different than a debit card. They look the same. But how's a debit card different than a credit card? It's what? Oh, yes. Yeah, I suppose you can say borrowed money, and that you're gonna you have to pay it back. So how many of you, if you have that credit card, chances are you pay your balance off at the end of the month, correct? Or you just make, let's say your balance is $200, okay? Now, a monthly balance will be different than your current balance. Your current might be $250, but your statement balance is $200, okay? Does anyone know why is there a current balance of $250 but a statement balance of $200? Does anyone think they know? Why is there a $50 difference? Nope, not interest. The last posted date maybe for December would be that of the 22nd. Anything posted on that card after the 22nd goes on to the next statement balance. You have a current balance of $250, but if you pay your statement balance off of $200, you don't get penalized. Okay? Well, it's not that you wouldn't get penalized, but it's going to be a lot better for yourself to always pay your balance off. A debit card, on the other hand, obviously gets withdrawn straight from your checking account. So those calcium ions are kind of like that of a debit card, where these are pulling those ions. I figured it was up here. pulling these out of the bank, out of your bones, okay? So with that, okay, if there's a way to raise your calcium ion levels, there must be another way to lower those. And it's if parathyroid hormone increases the levels, how is that counteracted to bring them back down to a normal range? Calcitonin is the hormone that would counter-affect that. Okay. So as we continue then, we'll get a little ahead of these. Okay. Just do these two, then we'll get you on your way for the rest of the day. Because as we can see, since we don't have class here tomorrow, okay, we're going to move that up a day. Because I thought we would get to the pancreas. I think we would have easily by tomorrow. What's the cure for hiccups? Some people say drink water quickly, maybe do a somersault, I don't know, hold your breath. Someone needs to scare you, maybe put something on the roof of your mouth like bread, peanut butter, maybe jelly, I don't know. But okay. Darn hiccups. That's only because the diaphragm is spasming, in case you're wondering. So why can't your lungs don't really hiccup? It's a byproduct. Because the lungs aren't muscles, are they? No, they're not. They're just epithelial tissue and some connective tissue inside, I suppose. But if the lungs aren't muscles, then there must be something that has an effect on your lungs. It's your diaphragm that's spasming. That's right. Okay. So as we look at this we've talked about last chapter, okay? Is these two hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine, will increase heart rate, breathing rate, and glucose level, okay? Now, when we're saying increasing the level, we're talking about burning it, okay? Because that's what insulin would do too, but it's having an effect because a counter effect, or excuse me, and supplemental effect, that's the word I'm looking for, along with that of insulin that causes this to get burned much quicker, okay? So, when muscle cells or muscle tissue gets stimulated, okay, will last longer than sympathetic neurons, okay? So when a contraction takes place, how quickly does a synapse occur? Is that pretty quick? Going through your nervous system? Yeah. Certainly, okay? And once that muscle has contracted, that's actually a short range effect going very, very fast, okay? The point that you want to learn from this increased heart rate, this increased breathing rate, your heart rate, does that go up quickly because of epinephrine and norepinephrine and then just slow down right away? Kind of like a neuronal effect. Because neuronal is more so that of skeletal muscle. That's a better way of looking at it because it's very quick. That of these hormones, like these two, having an effect on these. Does that happen? It might start fairly quickly, but do the effects, do they diminish quickly? That's the question we're asking. Or does your heart rate maybe stay up for a certain amount of time? Does it go up quickly and then slow down quickly? What would you think? No, it does not, okay? So that's one of the things that's really different when it comes to communication purposes. The nervous system is very quick over a short distance, okay? And we know that hormones have to travel because of the difference between oxytocin and antidiuretic hormone. Those are part of the neural hypothesis. We talked about that yesterday. If it's the neural hypothesis, it's which portion of the pituitary gland, the front or the back, do you think? It's the back, because the adrenal hypothesis, or the front side, is that of it's vascular controlled. In other words, it's going through the bloodstream. So if it's going to do that, it's going to be up here in your pituitary gland. It's stimulated to secrete from there and travels a long way, then has a longer effect. So neurons are quick and travel very short distances. Hormones travel long distances and have long-lasting effects. Now, just like your glucagon and glucagon insulin teeter-totter we just talked about, and then your teeter-totter of calcitonin and PTH, this also, once it goes up, it has to come back down. It really doesn't have a hormone that breaks it. There is a specific gland that we did talk about that breaks these compounds down. Okay, control of hormone secretions, regulation, or concentration. Now, they might be getting rid of the body, broken down by enzymes, but usually by this, okay? That's why your liver is so important, because it will slowly start to create enzymes that's going to counteract that and break it down so you can get rid of it outside your body. Okay, now, some of these hormones might stay in your blood, I don't know for how long, but why? Like even over here at our major employer, TNR, okay? Do they take, I don't know if we call it random drug tests? Certainly for truck drivers. That's state law. I don't think you have a choice to get around that. But do they maybe, as an employer, do random drug checks? Do you know? But if you're a truck driver, you better be really, really careful if you want to use some of that recreational marijuana that has passed, okay? So if there is maybe some of these random drug tests, December 1st, okay, the next one might not be till January 10th would be maybe the next random drug test, okay? So you made it through December, okay? In that time frame of 5 weeks, what do you think if you are having some recreational pot or marijuana, which would be legal, but not legal to be a truck driver, okay? Do you think you can skate by in those 5 weeks? Will there still be some residual effects inside your body, do you think? Yes, okay. Because those, which I don't know how long they stay in the body, but you don't get rid of that very quickly, okay? And that's why sometimes that's an effective deterrent, having these random drug tests, because you're really playing with fire if you're a truck driver for some company and think that I got this habit, I'm going to have a joint or whatever, then a month later, chances are that's still in your system. Okay. All right. So here again, hormones are broken down more slowly than neurotransmitters. So where's this breakdown occurring then? Where? Are broken down more slowly than neurotransmitters. Where does that breakdown take place? In the liver. That's right. Okay. One more, I think. Do this one. Let's see, we're at about 15. Adrenal glands. Okay, that'll be fine. We won't talk about cortisol yet. Okay. Does anyone know a common name for cortisol? Yes, it's a hormone, but think about it actually has a common name too. Kind of like methylbenzene or toluene, because one has a common name, one is a scientific name. So in the name here, it says a mineral corticoid, or coracoid. There's no T in it. If we stopped right here and didn't go any further, what type of minerals do we have in our body that it constantly needs? And that's why you drink your Gatorade and your Powerade, because they have these electrolytes in them. So there must be some sort of mineral or minerals that's in there that we need. What would those? Sodium's one, potassium, and there's probably some calcium and magnesium in there as well. But mainly this one right here. Okay? One of the things that we had said yesterday, and we never came back to it, controlling blood pressure. Okay? That, of course, would be done by what portion of the nervous system do you think? The somatic, controlling muscles around your blood vessels, or the autonomic? What's the difference between the two from last chapter? Somatic and autonomic. Yeah, so smooth muscle tissue is controlled in your autonomic nervous system. You don't have any conscious control of it, and nor should you. Okay? What happens is in these blood vessels, when that smooth muscle contracts, okay, if that tube gets smaller, there's a smaller path for that to travel. What happens to the blood pressure, or your blood pressure in that sense? Does it go up or down? It goes up. The pressure goes up, the speed goes up, and that will continue until those start to release. Okay? Well, also a different way that the body can compensate and control blood pressure is this right here. Okay? Maintains blood pressure and volume. One way to look at this is water follows the sodium, always. So if your kidneys, okay, in this case are saying, hang on, we need some sodium ions, let's conserve some of those. So it's pulling that out of the bloodstream. What else is it taking out of the bloodstream, do you think? If the kidneys are conserving these sodium ions, what else is being pulled out of the blood? What does it say down here? Okay, that water is going to be held back too. The water is following the sodium. That's very important. So what's the major component of blood? It's the hemoglobin that makes it red. Okay, there's platelets in there. There's lots of IgG, IgA, IgM. Those are different types of immunocells. We're not going into that far detail. But there's platelets in there. There's those immune cells. There's hemoglobin. But the major component of blood is what? Is water. Okay? So if a person continually retains more and more water, what's that blood? What does coagulation mean? when your blood coagulates, is it thin or thick? It's really thick. So what can happen is the body can also compensate for controlling blood pressure because of this mechanism here, okay? There can be a stimulus in your brain that goes down to your kidneys, okay? It actually goes from your brain, your pituitary gland, through the posterior side because of this here. This is probably going to be on that paper that's going to be handed out as well, okay? Pop, coffee, many things are called diuretics, okay? So if a person drinks a lot of pop or soda, like some of us probably say, well, you're a good sport. We're just making fun of you. So who can we pick on then? Do you say pop or soda? Well, even if you don't drink pop or soda. Pop, okay. Does anyone here say soda? Oh, we're all smart people then. Well, I digress anyway. Okay. So a lot of that pop, what happens if this morning you had 6, 20-ounce bottles of Diet Pepper, Dr. Pepper, Diet Coke, regular Coke, take your pick. Okay? If you had 6 of those this morning, which don't do, what effect is that going to have on your body? You're going to have to go to a certain part of this school probably a few times, because the more pop you drink, the more sugar, and mainly the caffeine you're taking in, because this is not caffeine-free Dr. Pepper. Your body has to get rid of that toxic substance somehow. Yes, caffeine, it does have good effects on the body, but also has negative effects. But your body compensates for that because of this. Because caffeine is a diuretic, so it will dehydrate you. So what is something that means opposite of a diuretic? That means anti-diuretic. That's why ADH is so important. This makes a trip down to your kidneys to do that. Because aldosterone is not in your pituitary gland. It has to be stimulated. So that ADH is looking for, if it's the dart, and the dart is moving towards the dart board, it's looking for a specific what? We call these, what type of cells? Starts with a T. Target cells. That's a first and second messenger mechanism. This is probably the best example in the human body for that. The ADH gets sent from the posterior pituitary gland, okay? Gets sent down here saying, we need to retain some of these sodium ions, and upon doing so, we will conserve water. All right, so that's all we got for today. We'll catch up to you. Hand your papers out today. And it says the 16th. We'll move that back to the 17th, which is a week from Thursday. Catch up to you next time.